amazing resources that you've made. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Becky. Yeah, we've already introduced ourselves in the chat. Well, I'm Rebecca Franks. I'm one of the co-founders of Flip Computing, and I've got Tracy and Liz with me, who are also co-founders, and we created these resources for you so that you can have them for free and hopefully use them as an enrichment day, or in clubs like code club type things, or if you're lucky enough to have the time to do it in lesson time, it would be fab if you could do it in lesson time as well. So a bit of an agenda, just who are Flip Computing, what is UEFN, what is VERSE, a walkthrough of the resources, a demonstration, and then we're going to have a bit of a discussion at the end about how can UK students have more opportunities to learn interactive 3D skills. So that's a bit of prep for you. So if you're thinking as you're looking at the resources, you know, how can we get more of this into our schools as we learn more about this technology. So what is Flip Computing? We're a tech ed company. We have an inclusion first approach, so we really do take inclusion at heart whenever we create our resources. We create bespoke learning experiences for technology education providers, so that's, you know, that's what's happened with the casting, and we work with lots and lots of different organisations around the country as well, making different resources. And we're definitely driven by a need to flip the narrative on computing and provide unique opportunities to access the subject. So we really, really try hard to make sure that anything that we come up with, it's unique or it's fairly different to what you might have seen before. So hopefully you'll get a bit of that vibe from our resources. So I'm going to pass over to Tracy to go over the rest of the stuff.
Thanks, Becky. So yeah, we thought we'd start with an introduction to the Unreal editor for Fortnite. Now, I think everyone here probably has an understanding of what interactive 3D is. Perhaps you've been to one of the previous sessions of this group, but we're talking about being able to create things in 3D environments that you can interact with. You can click on things, you can make things happen. Now, that could be a game, but it could be a museum that you're exploring. It could be a musical activity. It could be lots of different things. It isn't just about games. So the Unreal editor for Fortnite is an environment where you can create 3D experiences. And it has a lot of the features that are in the Fortnite game platform. So Fortnite, really popular game, really popular. And it also has a platform where those games run. And it's for a long time had some creative tools where users could create their own custom Fortnite games that others could play. And that's been extended now, so you can do a lot more. It's not just about creating Fortnite style games. You can actually create all sorts of different interactive 3D projects. So what we've done here is we've used that Unreal editor for Fortnite, and that gives a way in for young people who already have experience with Fortnite, and that's an important user group. And we've heard other creators of content for UEFN talk about that group quite a lot, bringing people who love Fortnite into coding and computing and 3D creation through that route. But for us, it was really important to also attract an audience that hasn't used Fortnite before. So we don't in the resources assume any prior knowledge of Fortnite. So we're assuming that anyone could do this, whether they've used Fortnite loads or whether they've never played Fortnite at all before. So we start from a complete beginner context in terms of Fortnite. So we'll take you through some examples of some of the resources, but what you see there is a screenshot of the Unreal editor for Fortnite. And there you can see you're actually creating things in a 3D environment that you'll then be able to run and interact with those objects. Okay, should go on to the next one. So the other thing we wanted to introduce is the programming language that you use with UEFN. So you can create things graphically by dragging and dropping them in the 3D world, and then you can add on interactive behavior. And there are a few ways to do that in UEFN, but the one that's new and interesting that we've decided to use in our resources is the VERSE programming language. Now, this is a new programming language. So if you're educators in secondary school in the UK, it's very likely you've come across the Python programming language. Other programming languages out there that are popular are JavaScript or C# that you might come across at A level. But VERSE is a brand new programming language. So we think this is quite exciting we're giving young people access to a brand new programming language. Now, Verse has been created by Epic Games, and the Unreal Editor for Fortnite is the first place where you can actually use this brand new programming language. It's been designed for the metaverse, for modern environments, 3D worlds, interactive, distributed environments. It's got some really interesting features. We're not going to do a deep dive on Verse today. There are some interesting talks out there if you're interested in new programming languages. But that was one of the things we were really interested in doing, is getting young people and getting a different community early access to a really new and interesting new programming language. Right, go on to the next one. Okay, so before we go in and look at the resources, let's give you an overview of what you'll be able to make if you use these resources, if you use them in your classrooms, what your students will be able to make. So what you'll be able to do is create a new 3D world where you create a base, and you can see from those images there, it's not the case that everyone's going to create the same base. So you're guided through, but there's lots of opportunity to make choices. And that's something that's really important to us. We know that learners get much more invested in learning new skills if they've actually been able to make some choices and choose things that are interesting to them. They'll have a chair. Now, for Fortnite players, that's a thing that they will know what that means, something you can sit on. That's a really kind of important concept there. And you'll be able to create a chair. Actually, that's a really new feature. It came out in the Unreal Editor for Fortnite just as we were developing these resources. So hopefully we're one of the first to get that feature into some educational resources. You'll be able to sit on a chair and trigger interactive behavior. You'll have to go off and explore the world and collect an object and bring it back to your base. And then if you sit on the chair afterwards, you're going to get a visual effects reward, which again, there's a choice available. So that's what you'll be able to do. You can see from those images what young people will create will look really different depending on the decisions they make. So if we go on to the next one, I think we've got a little demo for you. So here we are. Any poor navigation is entirely my fault. As I said, I'm not a brilliant Fortnite player. So there we see a rock. The rock there is acting as a chair, so we're able to sit on it, having a little look around. Okay, and then up we get, and we can see there's some statues over here. So here I am running over. I'm going to interact. I'm going to collect that statue. And I'm looking back. Oh, no, I'm not. I'm going to go and get another one. There we go. Off I go, get another one. And then I look back at my base, and there we go. I've collected those statues for my base. And now I'm going to go and sit down and have a look. And then we wait in a moment. We will see. I get a visual effect. I get some bubbles. So there are lots of different cool visual effects that are built into UEFN that you can choose and configure, and that's something where we found that was really good. We could get some really interesting behavior quite quickly without too much work, which is always really important when you're working with young people. Okay, so that was a quick demo. One thing to mention is at the moment we've created the resources for the first 2 sessions. There are 2 more sessions coming. So if that doesn't look quite finished yet, don't worry, but there are 2 more sessions coming where you'll be able to finish off those projects and create a really finished world. Okay, on to the next one. So what have we delivered? So far, 2 sessions with 2 more coming. And you get a full set of resources for each session. So you get a getting started guide, which tells you how to get set up with the UEFN software. Now, we direct you to an existing Epic Games resource that guides you through that talks about installing in a school environment. So that's something that already exists. You get a lesson plan, teacher guides, classroom slides, a UEFN controls list. Now, for us, this is really important. This is how you navigate in the 3D world, what some of the keyboard shortcuts are, which really helps you get productive quickly, because there's a lot to learn, there's a lot to take in. So we've really focused on what's really helpful for getting people started quickly. There's a useful vocabulary sheet. There are lots of new words when you move into this 3D space. And for each project, there's a really detailed student worksheet, and we'll show you some more detailed examples of those in a moment, where we've really paid attention to making sure that those are really accessible to users. Okay, and I think I'm going to hand over. Oh no, actually, I've got one more. Sorry. So yeah, one of the things that we've included is a bridge from the Scratch programming language to UEFN concepts. Now, Scratch is hugely popular in primary and early secondary, and really you can see it as something that comes before 3D modeling, your 2D modeling in Scratch with sprites, and then you make that transition. So we've really built on that and use that as a way to make it less daunting to move into this 3D UEFN verse world by saying, actually, you already know a lot of stuff that's really going to help you here. So, for example, a really simple one, say hello in Scratch, print hello in verse. So we've done that kind of mapping, which hopefully helps teachers and students find their way in to this new world. Okay, over to you, Liz.
No, now you can hand over.
Now I can hand over.
Yeah, so as Tracy mentioned, with the different resources, we've got the student worksheets, and they have been out for review for a little while now. So we've had some really good feedback that's helped shape our material. And I was just going to pull some of those features out. So the features here were drawn out from conversations with a teenager who has difficulty performing some fine motor skills. So especially things like precise control of a mouse. And the things that they really liked were, we introduced shortcuts for views really early on. So getting the learners to create bookmarks, to save views that they like, and being able to navigate between bookmarks by pressing a number on the keyboard rather than having to manage all the different controls of scrolling around a 3D world and getting your view exact all the time. So that was something that they really liked. And actually we get the learners to make a couple of bookmarks as they go, but they can choose to make more and save the different views as well. Another thing that they really liked was the alternatives to dragging that we've got in there. So as Tracy mentioned, we've got that controls sheet as well that the learners can use. And in our steps, we give them different options too. So I've just put a couple of examples on this slide. So the first one is being to tap 7 so that you can rotate something around 90 degrees. And we've used an island with a grid on it as well, so they can really get that idea of moving things around on different axes. And another option there is holding down Alt and dragging the arrow a little bit in the direction that they want to place a duplicate item. And that also was a real plus for being able to line things up and place things exactly where they wanted it to go. We also introduced multiple different ways to do things because we're fully aware that we're meeting the needs of an audience. Some people who really love Fortnite, who are really used to navigating around in a 3D world, other people who aren't and are perhaps coming at it from a different view where they do use keyboard shortcuts and things like that a lot more. So wherever possible, we introduce different ways to do things and let the learners decide which they want to do. I've got an example on the next slide of just showing when you tap 7. So that's kind of what you get. So when they're placing a fence panel, just by tapping 7, they're able to rotate it round at 90 degrees rather than having to use the rotate gizmo to change it, to rotate it a bit at a time. Can I have the next slide, please? So this is a list of notable features, again, from somebody else who was doing a review from us. So this has come from a teenager who has epilepsy and has frequent absence seizures. And what that means is they experience some confusion and some memory loss for a bit of a short period of time afterwards, which can be quite tricky when you're following step-by-step tasks. So the things that they said that they really like are we've got the clickable content navigation. So there's an image there just underneath the bullets. So all of the sections are highlighted in there so you can navigate through them. We've got common features highlighted consistently. We've used emojis actually because people are used to those. We don't want people to have to learn a whole new icon set, and they're familiar with them. So there's an example there of a debug step and the play icon, the try it out as well. We have highlighting for new code, so you can see there's a code snippet there. We actually break that out into the full width of the page so that it's easier to read. And we've got the code formatting on it, and any new code is highlighted, but we make sure we include code above and below so you know exactly where you're positioning the new code. As you go, we also number all the steps within the section as well. And all of our try it out tasks have checklists so that they can check off to test to make sure that it does everything that they've asked it to do to that point. I think on the next slide I have, so this is just an example, so it shows you kind of, we've got the section heading, we put a description there of why you want to do it, the steps with the numbers, and also the instructions with the bullets, and we use colour as well as an additional way of showing whether it's something within the interface or something that you have to type, and a bit of reassurance as well that there's more coming. So yeah, so this one, don't worry, your chair doesn't need to look like that. We're gonna have lots of different options as well. Next one, please. And here's a demonstration of the game a step further on.
Yeah, so this one has a few more features, including ones that we will introduce in the third session. So here you can see that flower bed is looking very empty. So we get a bit of a hint that we might need to go and find something to fill that empty space. Gonna have a sit down. Oh, no reward yet, it's saying. We haven't got we haven't earned our reward yet. So up we jump. Oh, what's this over here? So off we go. Now you can see I sprinted there to go faster, and I ran out, and I think we got a bit of feedback that actually we should have turned on infinite stamina there. So I think that's something we're going to look into for session 3 as well. It's a useful bit of user feedback that we got. So here we go. We're trying to find the way in. Okay, we go. Oh, hang on. Looks like we found a way in. So off we go. Okay. And we're looking for something to decorate our base. Now, hang on. We've seen some flowers there, but is there a way in? We jumped. We had to jump to get in. So now we're able to collect the flowers. We're going to head back. Now we know we just got to jump over the hedge. It's fine. That's the right thing to do. And off we go, back to our base. We'll do a bit more sprinting until we run out of energy, I think. And back we go. I think I was probably regretting putting it so far away at this point. Right, there we go. We've got flowers. Go and have a little look. There we go. Got our flowers back. And we're going to go and have a sit down. Oh, I ended up standing on my seat there. Right, you deserve a reward. And here we go. This is one of those other visual effects that we talked about. There's quite a good choice of those that are available. As you can see, we've got all that scenery. We didn't have to do anything. We just got that included. So yeah, that's our second one. So that includes a few features that are coming up in session 3. Okay, so that was our run through of the resources. And I don't know, do we want to take any questions on the resources now before we go into the discussion?
We can do. Does anyone have any questions? You could put your hand up, come off mute. I think people have been asking in the chat.
Yeah, sorry, Becky. The resources are completely free, The software's all free. There's absolutely no cost to any of this. So yeah, just download the resources, look at the Getting Started guide, and just get started and just see how you get on. And if you've got any questions, just come back to the community and ask, and we can provide further support.
Brilliant. I saw there was a link asking for the presentation, which has been shared again in the chat. So thank you for doing that, Steve. Okay, so what the next thing we wanted to do was have a bit of a discussion when we've got a group of people together like this who are interested in this topic. And I think Becky's going to lead the discussion in a moment, but I just sorry, Rebecca, I should say, to distinguish from the other Becky. And so I just wanted to kind of introduce this by saying I participated in the EPIC Secondary Educator Forum earlier this year, which was a fantastic online event where lots of people gave really inspiring, amazing talks about all the things that they're doing with the EPIC tools, including UEFN, mostly in schools in the US, but also some international examples as well. And I was really struck by some of the opportunities that young people around the world were having to get their hands on interactive 3D technology. So we really wanted to have a bit of a think about, well, in the UK, what can we do? What blockers are there? Why haven't we got several hundred people on this call, you know, ready to go with UEFN in their schools and colleges? So that's really the sort of inspiration for this sort of discussion, is thinking, you know, how can we move this forward in the UK? So I think I'll hand back to Becky at that point to lead the discussion.
Yeah, so if you want to just have a little bit of think about your setting that you're in now, if you are in a school, and what you could do or what support you might need in order to start using this kind of thing. The way that we've designed the resources is you could use it in an enrichment day type thing, because that means that you've got their focus for a half a day or a whole day of perhaps year 9 students or year 8 students potentially. You can get them for a block of time. You could also do it in sort of hourly sessions after school as an enrichment activity, because I know that it's quite challenging for teachers to just suddenly change their curriculum when a new technology comes out, and you get excited about it, but you might want to just try it first of all. So trying it in an enrichment style place first before you bring it into your actual curriculum might be a way in for you. So that's our thinking with this. In terms of the national curriculum, it does cover quite a lot of the stuff that is on the national curriculum. So it's not like it's an additional thing that's missing from the curriculum. You are meeting a lot of the curriculum needs by doing these kinds of using these kinds of resources in your lessons. So there's nothing to worry about there. It's definitely on the curriculum. And also thinking about getting a wider range of people interested in computing. For me, I hadn't really done a lot of 3D stuff until about 2-3 years ago, when I started looking into Unity, which is resources made by Liz and Tracy. And when I did their resources in Unity, I was like, oh my word, this is what game design is. This is what 3D worlds are like. This is real. And it suddenly felt real to me. Whereas with Python, when you're very much stuck in this text, everything's text, and you've got to show, you know, it's not as engaging. Whereas this, you've got a bit of code, you can learn your fundamentals, but you're doing something really amazing that you're creating, and you can create so many different things. So we're sold, like, we think it's brilliant, but we know there's a barrier of going, okay, we've got this, how do we now bring it into lessons? So we'd love to hear some of your ideas. You can put it in the chat, you can tell us later, email us later if you don't want to say it now on the chat. But if anyone does want to speak, it would be great if I could get somebody chatting now if you want to. Is there anything? Yeah, go on.
I'll just say, so when we had one of our earlier sessions within the community, some of the people that were on that were saying that part of the problem is the technical requirements of the spec of the PC to run the software, and I know that's a barrier for some schools.
Yeah.
Olivia's just said, can you make something for Key Stage 2?
Well, we could do.
The age limit's the problem, isn't it?
that is the problem, is the age limit, and trying to sort of. And are there any opportunities, Steve? Do you know anything about getting that age limit reduced in any way, or?
What is, when you say KS2, what is the age band there?
It's up
It's
to
what, 7 to 11?
10-ish. Yeah, it's around 7 to 11. Yeah.
Yeah, well, so UEFN maybe not, but we I'm proudly wearing my Lego Fortnite sweatshirt today. Lego Fortnite at least brings the age down to, I believe, 10 plus, and that creates different opportunities, but I think it helps get kids into that, player to creator mindset that we're always talking about. And it's the start of a longer journey. So, I mean, if we start to expose them and have them start at that level, with the creative building that's allowed there. Fortnite Creative now, again, when kids are older, has opportunities for building Lego content and things. So there are a lot of great opportunities. But I definitely, I love that we're starting to, to look to family friendly or, younger, content that's appropriate for younger ages to start that learning journey.
Fantastic. That's potentially something then to look into in terms of resources for Lego Fortnite, then maybe for the slightly younger ones.
Yeah.
Nick, you had your hand up. You've put it down now. Are you?
Well, Nick brings up that good point that there are other, suitable tools to start even younger, for kids in getting on on that path.
Yeah.
In answer,
Fantastic, I think.
yeah, in answer to Kathy's question, yes, there are more plans. The Flip Computing team are working on kind of a second set to what they've already made, that will be available later this year.
Yeah, I think so the first two sessions really sort of getting them into how to get started, how to build your world, how to use a bit of code, how to do some things. And then 3 and 4 will be more about your personalization. So really building it out, all those skills that we use. How do you now make something completely unique, and really let their creativity go wild sort of later on. So that's where it's heading with this set of resources. So there'll be a whole enrichment day ready to go once it's all live on the site.
Great. The ease of access of introducing students to these tools is so powerful, because a lot of times, and our big goal, is that easy onboarding. Like, we want kids to be able to get started and not feel intimidated. So these resources are tremendous for that.
Thank you. Yeah, you can share them out. They're live on the website now. So yeah, you can share them out, and obviously it's up to you if you want to wait to do an enrichment day until you've got all 4, or you just want to get going straight away, or you just want to test them. A good set of people to test it with is if you're fortunate in your school to have a group of digital leaders. They're a really good group to just sit and work through the resources, check that your equipment's working, everything, all the accounts and that kind of stuff are working, and that they can sort of get that set up and get it working. And then when you start using it in an enrichment session, your digital leaders can then support as and when they're needed in that session too, which is really, really good to just get you started. I'm eagerly waiting for Kathy to say something on the chat. There you go. Really good lessons. Thank you.
Oh, you knew me. You knew it.
Yeah, so
No,
we've talked through.
Oh,
Go on.
sorry. I was just,
Go on.
reading through the downloads. The lessons are so good, so good. So I mean, I'm gonna thank you. I haven't used them yet, obviously, but yeah, thank you for creating this resource. It's really, really good.
Oh, that's really good to hear. That's it. And we have tested them on, real students, and they've been really receptive to them, which is really, really good. And they've found, I think when you first open them up, when you see the worksheet, you might think, gosh, that's a lot of steps. But actually, the way it's laid out and the way it's broken down into chunks, and there's lots of opportunities and dive in and play with the game and then come back out and edit it and things like that. That's where the engagement comes in, and they get really excited building things, and they go on and on. I mean, I think you could probably spend about 20 hours on these resources if you really wanted to. But obviously the basic, you can get the basics done in the time that we've said, but you could just go for hours, I'm sure.
Yeah, we had difficulty stopping, didn't we? When we were
Yeah.
creating the resources, we were just, I just want to add this. I just want to do this little bit. Now I've just got to finish this. We really did have a fun time, and we were really enjoying it. And it's really fun to be working on something and giving young people access to something that is kind of so new and developing, and really feels like the future. I think we all get a bit fed up of yet more logo turtle. I mean, it has its place, but it's really nice to have something different that feels fresh and actually feels like you're giving kids access to something that is going to be relevant to the future.
If there was a heart emoji that would, like on social media, the heart emojis come up, that's what I would like to do in response to what you just said, Tracy. I mean, yeah, I can't get over these. They're so thorough, and I love that you said it was so engaging, even as we're building the lesson plans. That, yeah, and Steve is a great example of, like, in his classroom, he would have the kids start with something basic, and then he said, you know what, now do something cool. You have the tools, do something cool. And they would come up with some really, really great work.
Yeah, I mean, that's very much our sort of ethos. So we like to sort of sit in that space between really rigid instructions and being so completely open that nobody knows quite what they're able to do, and then they end up getting frustrated because they come up with ideas and they don't have the skills to implement them. So we try and tread that path in the middle, where we give them enough skills that they know what they can do, but we set them a task that then they have the skills to complete and have lots of flexibility in how they do that. So that's very much our ethos behind it, everything we do, and we've really brought that into this piece of work. And it was really interesting just having the three of us working on it, how differently we all met the same brief. Because we obviously created examples as we were going through and we're trying things out, and we all did quite different things with the resources we had available.
Yeah, my favourite find was that blue blobby character thing. I can't remember what it's called, but as soon as I found that, I was like, oh, this is brilliant, because it bounces as well when it animates. It does this. It's really cute. So I want to have a big world where they're all just hidden everywhere, and you have to go and find them.
Yeah, and I was really excited when I found that I could make that rock just the right size and make that behave like a chair, so I could sit on a rock. I was really pleased with that.
Yeah, and it's did you, I don't know if you mentioned yet, or I mean, I listened, but anyway, did you mention that you have all of the resources that are built into Fortnite, like all of the assets there? And so, like, I heard Rebecca say, you had to dig through so much just to find that bouncy chair. And that's part of the fun too, right? Is like when you're searching for your thing that you want to put in your base or your world, just getting to see the variety of resources there are. And, maybe one of the next sessions that you do could be bringing in your own assets, because that's something that's possible in UEFN.
I think that's a Liz question.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'd love to do. I want to do stuff in Blender and and put it in. I kept reining myself back, and luckily I found some pink plastic flamingos that I used, and I really like those. But yeah, my next step was definitely to make stuff in Blender and pull it in. So hopefully we can do those resources.
Yeah, you know, and now, gosh, like you can I don't know if you've had any experience with MetaHuman Creator, but now you could bring MetaHumans into UEFN, so you can create the avatar outside and, you know, and animate it and bring that in, you know, as well as some of the things we do a lot is with photogrammetry, where students can take pictures of 3D objects and bring them in, but I love your idea of Blender and, you know, mixing those tools and getting kids, because you're going to find a lot of, and then from a teamwork perspective too, you're going to find the art kids, you know, that might be really interested in the 3D modeling with Blender, and how cool is it for them to create something and then see their creation, you know, in the experience. I mean, nothing beats that.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had fun bringing Mixamo animated characters in as well, and that works really well, and there's some quite appealing ones there. Just one of the things we generally find quite difficult when you go to these existing resource banks is that the resources aren't always very diverse and inclusive, and that can be a real challenge for us. We don't want to send young people to places where they're only going to find a certain kind of content. So that's
Sure.
something we're really keen to look at, you know, as we go forward.
Yeah.
How can you know, how can we help, but how can the community in general make sure that those resources that are out there really are diverse, inclusive, and, you know,
Yeah.
appeal to a wide range of users.
That's one of the reasons we love things like MetaHuman too, because kids can bring in, you know, can create a, you know, a character that represents themselves better in the digital world, and then, you know, feel that they're represented that way. Or with that photogrammetry, when they're taking,
Yeah, he called
you know,
it. He called it.
things that are meaningful to them, you know, that's really valuable.
Well, and then just to add on to the MetaHuman, that's a great entry point for interactive 3D, and it's available online. So you don't necessarily need the compute power that you would need for some of the other tools.
Do you happen to know what the age limit is for MetaHuman?
I can check. I'm not aware of one,
Yeah.
but let me double check.
Because that would be something, you know, if it's appropriate, then we might be able to mention that in the upcoming resources.
So while you investigate, I think the questions have eased. I think we've gone through all the questions and the points. That was a really great discussion, actually. Really enjoyed that. So if you do want to get in touch with any of us, then please. Oh, 16. That's disappointing. That's a shame. We need to get more resources that are suitable for young people to use in schools. Like, we're finding this quite a bit with these kinds of things. So yeah, we need to sort that one out. But if you do want to get in touch with us, those are our email addresses, or you can just go to our website and we've got a get in touch form on there for you to chat to us if you forget. Hopefully it's quite easy to remember. It's just our names, Outfit Computing, so it's quite easy to remember email addresses if you do want to get in touch with us. And we are really looking forward to seeing what you make. I don't know if there is, Becky, a place on the CAS site where that people can showcase things that they've done.
Yeah, so there's two different ways of doing it. Let me just bring up the site and I'll show you.
Shall I stop sharing?
Okay, so option one, hopefully you can see this. Option one is on the main community page. there is comment boxes here. This is kind of like a notice board, so you can't reply to these comments, but if you just want to say, look at what I've done, here's a link. It doesn't work with attachments, unfortunately, but links will work. You can pop that in there, add a comment in, that will send it to everybody in the community so everybody can kind of have a look. The other option is that you can use the forum. So if you can't find it particularly easily, we've set up this new page literally today, which is really good timing. So you can go into here, you can find all sorts of other helpful things. So the forum stuff is there. There's also information about the events. If you want to catch up on previous sessions that have been run through the community, you can get access to those. You'll also find the amazing resources that we've been talking about tonight there in there. And when part 2 comes later this year, that'll get added in there as well. There's also some links to some other stuff as well, just to kind of help you get started with different bits and pieces. So if you do want to share, if you go into the forum, it will take you in there. The forum's only recently been set up, so there isn't really anything in there yet, but feel free to make a new topic and then you can share in there, and that way people can actually reply to your comments a little bit easier. But if you've made something that you want to share as well, just get in touch with me, because even if you just want to kind of do a quick, at one of these sessions, just a quick 5 minutes or however long you want to just say, look at this really cool thing I've made, or I did this with my class today and here's some of the things that my class made, they might get more time to play than you do, then just get in touch with me. My email address is on the website, and I can, you know, I'm more than happy to kind of showcase what people are making. That would be great.
Fantastic.
Has anybody else
Good.
got any other comments or things that they would like to share? Possibly not. If you are coming to CAS conference in the summer, then Steve and Kathy will be there. Is anyone from Flip Computing coming? Yes. Yeah, Tracy and Rebecca, I know you're definitely coming, aren't you?
Yeah.
So yeah, if you've got a ticket for CAS conference, great. If you haven't, tickets have sold out. There is a waiting list, but that's getting quite full now as well. So yeah, if you can make it to conference, that would be great, because it'd be nice to kind of have an in-person discussion about some of these things. It looks like there's no other questions or comments from anybody, so yeah, go and download the resources, have a good play, get to know how to use it, and then let us know how you get on with it with your students. Thanks very much for joining us. Hopefully I'll see you again soon. Thanks everyone.